the same thing with coffee, right?
Coffee?
Like who made? Is it Turkish coffee or Greek coffee? Is that what we're?
People say Greek coffee.
Yeah.
Clowns. Never heard that one before. Oh man.
But is the grape leaves the same vibe? Was that?
I mean, grape leaves, like, they claim it. It's like, bro, you can believe what you want, and maybe sure they might have some historical facts on their side, but at the end of the day, like, we make the good shit. We make the good one. Name one city in Greece. See, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
You know, I can, but I can't name. I can't name any Grecian city that has the Trojan horse.
That's true.
All right, 10 points for Christina. All right, guys.
That was the right answer. I feel like a fool.
I don't know why the Odyssey isn't about stuffed grape leaves. Like, why they're not fighting because of that and coffee.
The whole thing started.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe Helen of Troy
was a stuffed grape.
Yeah, maybe she's a metaphor for grape leaves.
All right, can we go keep with that? Please explain.
Because it started in Greece, and then the Turks took it, and then the Greeks took it back.
I see. Okay.
This one's called Hector Returns to Troy.
Oh, you actually had the book?
I do have the book.
Oh.
She had it this whole time.
I do.
Oh.
It has lots of
Nerd.
highlighting in it and notes, so I remember what to tell you guys.
Oh. Wow.
But only on this side that I've read so far, because I'm only a week ahead of you.
Like
all good teachers. Yep. Alec, were you here last week? No. Can anyone catch him up to speed?
Oh, yeah.
Diomedes fights the gods.
Yeah, you did.
Because there was so much hype about him in book 4. So.
Diomedes is super cool, not quite as cool as Achilles. Athena came down and was like, Diomedes, don't fight the gods, except for Aphrodite. I hate her.
Mm-hmm.
And Diomedes is fighting all these other human people, and then the gods come, and Diomedes is like, should I fight them? Maybe. I really want to, but... And then Athena comes down and is like, actually, forget what I said. Fight them all.
Just go at it.
Pretty much.
And he fights them all, and then all the gods go up to Zeus, and they're like, wah, he hurt me. And then Zeus is like, actually, I don't care.
Oh.
It's very Zeus.
Oh.
It's like,
My favorite part was
classic Zeus.
My favorite part was that Ares was doing that, and he was doing the whole crying thing, and Zeus was like, you're my least favorite son. If you weren't my son, I'd put you in hell and lock you up forever. You're the worst god, and I hate you.
Actually,
and like that all happened in the book.
Poor Ares.
Pretty brutal. Like, I'm not hyperbolizing very much. It was pretty rough.
A lot of people get their arms chopped off.
I don't remember that part.
Is that like his MO?
I think he just likes chopping.
Sometimes it's arms, sometimes it's other things.
So we get a little bit of a break from the war in this chapter. Hector is going to get sent back to Troy to send a message to the women of Troy. So the women are obviously not in the battle, but they do have other things to do. For one, run the city. For two, pray. So while the men are fighting, a lot of the women are sending up prayers to the gods to help them, which like sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But Hector is going to run home to be like, hey, please pray to Athena because we need her help right now because Ares is gone. Ares is crying to Zeus right now. We need another war god on our side, and Athena is Athena's better. Zeus isn't the only one who thinks so. While Ares is like unabashed, like war and anger and just like rage, Athena is strategy and like wisdom and also war. So you want her more than you want Ares, honestly, at this point. Yes, we're going to meet Hector's family. We're going to see Paris again, and we're going to get a good comparison of Hector and Paris and Achilles, actually. So the clash of Achaean and Trojan troops was on its own, the battle in all its fury veering back and forth, careering down the plain. As they sent their bronze lances hurtling side to side between the Simois' banks and the Xanthus' swirling rapids. That Achaean bulwark, giant Ajax, came up first, broke the Trojan line, and brought his men some hope, spearing the bravest man the Thracians fielded, Acamas, tall and staunch, Eusorus' son, the first to hurl. Great Ajax hit the ridge of the helmet's horsehair crest. The bronze point stuck in Acamas' forehead, pounding through the skull, and the dark came swirling down to shroud his eyes. So we get a little bit of war before we're done with the war.
A little taste.
Just a
Little war is a treat.
A shattering war cry.
Oh man, Marion, can we have a war cry?
Ah!
Yes. All right, now we're immersive.
Diomedes killed off Axylus, Teuthras' son, who had lived in rock-built Asrebe, a man of means and a friend to all mankind. At his roadside house he'd warm all comers in. But who of his guests would greet his enemy now, meet him face to face and ward off grisly death? Diomedes killed the man and his aide in arms at once. Axylus and Callias, who always drove his team, both at a stroke he drove beneath the earth. So once again, a man of means and a friend to all mankind is the man whom Diomedes just murdered. So while we're on the Achaean side, the book humanizes the Trojans quite a bit. And this chapter is kind of like all about that. But we'll get to that. Euryalus killed Dresus, killed Ophitius, turned and went for Pedasus and Aspis, twins, the nymph of the spring Arbea, born Bucolion. Bucolion, son himself to the lofty King Laomedon, first of the line, though his mother bore the prince in secrecy and shadow. Tending his flocks one day, Bucolion took the nymph in a strong surge of love, and beneath his force she bore him twin sons. But now the son of Mestius hacked the force from beneath them both, and loosed their gleaming limbs and tore the armor off the dead man's shoulders. Polypotus, braced for battle, killed Astyalus, winging his bronze spear Odysseus. There's a name I can pronounce.
Oh boy.
Bred in Percote, and Teucer did the same for the royal Artan.
Bro, it's starting to sound like an anatomy book. So many weird names. Why are there so many names? Oh, I see. They're trying to humanize it. Is that the reason?
All right, let's skip in the next two paragraphs. But Menelaus, lord of the war cry, had caught Adrestus alive. Rearing, bolting in terror down the plain, his horses snared themselves in tamarisk branches, splintered his curved chariot just at the pole's tip, and breaking free they made a dash for the city walls, where battle teams by the drove stampeded back in panic. But their master hurled from the chariot, tumbling over the wheel and pitching, face down in the dust. Above him now rose Menelaus, his spear's long shadow looming. Adrestus hugged his knees and begged him, pleading, "Take me alive, Atrides, take a ransom worth my life. Treasures are piled up in my rich father's house, bronze and gold and plenty of well-wrought iron. Father would give you anything, gladly, priceless ransom, if only he learns I'm still alive in the Argive ships." His pleas were moving the heart in Menelaus. Just at the point of handing him to an aide to take him back to the fast Achaean ships, when up rushed Agamemnon, blocking his way and shouting out,
"So soft, dear brother, why? Why such concern for enemies? I suppose you got such tender loving care at home from the Trojans. Ah, would to God not one of them could escape his sudden plunging death beneath our hands. No baby boy still in his mother's belly, not even he escape. All Ilium blotted out, no tears for their lives, no markers for their graves."
So like chapter 1 with Chryseis, Agamemnon just hates ransoms and money, apparently. And he just wants to kill him. So Menelaus is like convinced by that. And the Iron Warrior brought his brother round, rough justice fitting too. Menelaus shoved Adrestus back with a fist. Powerful Agamemnon stabbed him in the flank, and back on his side the fighter went, face up. The son of Atreus dug a heel in his heaving chest and wrenched the ash spear out.
Wow.
And he's dead.
Good all.
Yeah, he's definitely dead.
It's so funny how quick he was, like how his brother was just like what? No, don't do that. Just like
And then he's like, oh, okay.
he was about to be so decent, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is war. Like,
Oh yeah, let's go.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's silly. And here came Nestor, orders ringing down the fields.
My comrades, fighting Danaans, aids of Ares. No plunder now. Don't lag behind. Don't fling yourself at spoils just to haul the biggest portion back to your ship. Now's the time for killing. Later, at leisure, strip the corpses up and down the plain.
Yeah. By strip the corpses, he means take the armor, because the armor is always expensive. So they do that quite a bit. They like just take the armor off of people. Yeah, so there's Nestor's strategy, the smart one. So he ordered each man's nerve, and the next moment crowds of Trojans once again would have clambered back inside their city walls, terror-struck by the Argives primed for battle. But Helenus, son of Priam, best of the seers who scan the flight of birds, came striding up to Aeneas and Hector, calling out,
My captains, you bear the brunt of Troy's and Lycius,
Lycia? Yeah.
Lycia, thank you. Fighting. You are our bravest men, whatever the enterprise, pitched battle itself or planning our campaigns. So stand your ground right here. Go through the ranks and rally all the troops. Hold back our retreating mobs outside the gates before they throw themselves in their women's arms in fear. A great joy to our enemies closing for the kill. And once you've aroused our alliance to the last man, we'll hold out here and fight the Argives down. Hard hit as we are, necessity drives us on. But you, Hector, you go back to the city. Tell our mother to gather all other noble women together in gray-eyed Athena's shrine on the city's crest. Unlock the doors of the goddess's sacred chamber and take a robe, the largest, loveliest robe that she can find throughout the royal halls. A gift that far and away she prizes most herself, and spread it out across the sleek hair goddess's knees. Then promise to sacrifice 12 heifers in her shrine.
It means cows.
Cows?
yeah, heifers.
Heifers? Heifer means cow.
Yeah.
That's the best name for a cow. I will never say cow again. Shrine, yearlings never broken. If only she'll pity Troy, the Trojan wives, and all our helpless children. If only she'll hold Diomedes back from the holy city, that wild spearman, that invincible headlong terror. He is the strongest Argive now, I tell you. Never once did we fear Achilles so, captain of armies, born of a goddess too, or so they say. But here's a maniac run amok. No one can match his fury man to man.
Yeah, so Diomedes.
Achilles was so 2 books ago.
Mhm.
Seriously, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I mean, Diomedes is good. So he's saying to Hector to go back and tell the women to pray to Athena. So he urged, and Hector obeyed his brother start to finish. Down he leapt from the chariot, fully armed, hit the ground, and brandishing 2 sharp spears, went striding down his lines, ranging flank to flank, driving his fighters into battle, rousing grisly war, and round the Trojans whirled, bracing to meet the Argives face to face. And the Argives gave way. They quit the slaughter. They thought some god swept down from the starry skies to back the Trojans now. They wheeled and rallied so. Hector shouted out to his men in a piercing voice.
Gallant-hearted Trojans and far-famed allies, now be men, my friends. Call up your battle fury, till I can return to Troy and tell them all, the old counselors, all our wives, to pray to the gods and vow to offer them many splendid victims.
As Hector turned for home, his helmet flashed, and the long, dark, embossed shield, the rim running the metal edge, drummed his neck and ankles. Okay, so the next couple paragraphs are about Diomedes. They are not important. And by I actually mean a couple pages. We can most
Diomedes, man.
quite a bit.
Just like her.
So what happens in this section is that Diomedes meets a Trojan whose name is, let me find it, Hippolochus. And, I'm sorry, his father is Hippolochus. His name is Glaucus. So and Diomedes find out that their fathers worked together, so they can't kill each other. So what they do is they trade armor to show that they are friends. And
They just like strip naked. Like what happens?
they just trade armor, and then the men must know our claim. We are sworn friends. Let us keep clear of each other's spears. From our fathers' days till now, they traded pacts of friendship. Whatever. But here's the funny thing. Zeus stole Glaucus's wits away. He traded his gold armor for bronze with Diomedes, the worth of 100 oxen just for 9.
Ooh.
So Diomedes had on bronze armor, and now he has on expensive gold armor.
Oh, see, Diomedes.
Great.
He gets it.
Good for him.
He just
What
played
do you
it.
think? What do you think? What do you think? There's any meaning behind that, or?
I
Oh,
looked
he just scammed him.
I really thought there might have been. Glaucus doesn't come back. He dies 10 books later, very briefly.
With his cheap armor, he just dies.
Yeah, if he had that gold armor, he would have survived.
Oh, dude, I bet their fathers didn't even work together.
I think
Gold armor is like a really bad armor.
I think mostly it's Diomedes
Oh,
made a deal and it worked out well for him. Hector won't make, not Hector, Agamemnon won't make any deals and it doesn't work out well for him. And Diomedes honors friendship and he's a good person and whatever, and
I mean, he's tight.
it is a weird little interlude. But so let's go to page 203 near the bottom.
Oh. Whoa.
So starting with, and now, when Hector reached the Scaean gates and the great oak, so that's the gates around Troy, the wives and daughters of Troy came rushing up around him, asking about their sons, brothers, friends, and husbands. But Hector told them only,
Pray to the gods.
Alright, yeah, pray to gods. Okay. It's really short.
all the chosen women, one after another, hard sorrows were hanging over many. And soon Hector came to Priam's palace. Priam, king of Troy, father of Hector, father of Paris, father of 62 children, I think.
Oh!
We're about to hear. The magnificent structure, built wide with porches and colonnades of polished stone, and deep within its walls were 50 sleeping chambers, masoned in smooth, lustrous ashlar, linked in a line, where the sons of Priam slept beside their wedded wives. So he has 50 sons. And facing these, opening
So many songs.
And they're all in bunk beds.
Is
that-
more like dorm rooms.
Okay.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
Now,
All right.
across the courtyard from those 50 sons lay the 12 sleeping chambers of Priam's daughters.
Oh.
So 50 sons, 12 daughters. Yeah. Masoned and roofed in lustrous ashlar, linked in a line where the sons-in-law of Priam slept beside their wives. And there at the palace, Hector's mother met her son, that warm, good-hearted woman going in with Laodice, the loveliest daughter Hecuba ever bred. So Hector's mother's name is Hecuba.
Cuba.
His mother clutched his hand and urged him, calling his name.
My child, why have you left the bitter fighting? Why have you come home? Look how they wear you out, the sons of Achaea. Curse them, battling round our walls. And that's why your spirit brought you back to Troy, to climb the heights and stretch your arms to Zeus. But wait, I'll bring you some honeyed, mellow wine. First pour out cups to Father Zeus and the other gods, then refresh yourself, if you'd like to quench your thirst. When a man's exhausted, wine will build his strength, battle-weary as you are, fighting for your people.
But Hector shook his head, his helmet flashing.
Don't offer me mellow wine, mother, not now. You'd sap my limbs. I'd lose my nerve for war. I'd be ashamed to pour a glistening cup to Zeus with unwashed hands. I'm splattered with blood and filth. How could I pray to the Lord of storm and lightning? No, mother, you are the one to pray. Go to Athena's shrine, the queen of plunder, go with offerings, gather the older noble women, and take a robe, the largest, loveliest robe that you can find throughout the royal halls. A gift that far and away you prize most yourself, and spread it across the sleek-haired goddess's knees. Then promise to sacrifice 12 heifers in her shrine, yearlings never broken, if only she'll pity Troy. The Trojan wives and all helpless children, if only she'd hold Diomedes back from the holy city, that wild spearman, that invincible headlong terror. Now, mother, go to the queen of plunder's shrine, and I'll go hunt for Paris, summon him to fight. If the man will hear what I have to say, let the earth gape and swallow him on the spot. A great curse Olympian Zeus let live and grow in him. For Troy and high-hearted Priam and all his sons, that man, if I could see him bound for the house of death, I could say my heart had forgot its wrenching grief.
Hector hates Paris.
I mean, who doesn't hate Paris?
Okay, so Hecuba brings her friends. They all go down to pray to Athena. So we're going to skip that because it just repeats for like the 8th time what they have to do.
He gave her a lot of instructions. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I laid it out for him.
look, I have to write that down.
Pictures are taking up.
Okay, but Athena refused to hear Theanos' prayers. So Athena refused because Athena likes the Achaeans. She's not listening to the Trojans right now.
Oh.
And while they prayed to the daughter of mighty Zeus, Hector approached the halls of Paris. Sumptuous halls he built himself with the finest masons of the day. Master builders famed in the fertile land of Troy. They'd raised his sleeping chamber, house and court adjoining Priam's and Hector's aloft the city heights. Now Hector, dear to Zeus, strode through the gates, clutching a thrusting lance 11 forearms long. That's long.
Weird measurement.
All right, let me... I got no comment on that.
Okay. The bronze tip of the weapon shone before him, ringed with a golden hoop to grip the shaft, and there in the bedroom Hector came on Paris, polishing, fondling his splendid battle gear, his shield and breastplate, turning them over and over, his long curved bow. And there was Helen of Argos, sitting with all the women of the house, directing the rich embroidered work they had in hand. So while Hector is out there killing people and getting killed himself, Paris is polishing his armor, just like messing around, wasting time, not fighting the war he started.
Classic Paris.
Seriously.
The war.
Man's gotta look good though, you know. Just, wait, no, he's actually ugly, isn't he? Oh yeah, he's ugly. Never mind.
No, Paris is
Wait,
the
No,
prettiest boy.
Paris is very pretty.
No, I mean, we looked at the pictures, bro.
I mean, like, if you're like, he's not a 10 for you.
He's no, bro. He's like
You personally don't
safe
find him
too.
attractive.
Safe too. He looks like those like baby shampoo bottle babies. No,
Alright, well.
I mean,
Well, now that you put it that way, I think I agree
I'm
with
just
you.
saying, thank you.
okay.
I give those pictures like a 5.5.
5.5? Wow, you're generous, man. I guess maybe easier then. Either way.
Seeing Paris, Hector raked his brother with insults, stinging taunts.
What on earth are you doing? Oh, how wrong it is, this anger you keep smoldering in your heart. Look, your people dying around the city, the steep walls dying in arms, and all for you, the battle cries and the fighting flaring up around the citadel. You'd be the first to lash out at another, anywhere you saw hanging back from this hateful war. Up with you, before all Troy is torched to a cinder here and now.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
And Paris, who is Marat magnificent as a god,
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
replied, and we'll need a Paris.
Who, me? Ah, Hector, you criticize me fairly, yes. Nothing unfair beyond what I deserve.
That's a
And
good
so
Paris.
I will try to tell you something. please bear with me. Hear me out. It's not so much from anger or outrage at our people that I keep in my room so long. I only wanted to plunge myself in grief. But just now my wife was bringing me round, her winning words urging me back to battle. And it strikes me, even me, as the better way. Victory shifts, you know. Now one man, now another. So come, wait while I get this war gear on. Or you go ahead and I'll follow. I think I can overtake you.
Oh wow.
It's just wild how well like he knew how to write assholes.
Yo, that's so true.
I could see
That's
someone
so
making that
true.
excuse like today.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, yeah, I was gonna do it anyway.
It was like,
It's
Listen,
arguably a douche.
I was being an asshole, but
Yeah.
I was being an asshole. I'm still being an asshole. I used to be an asshole.
I'm almost ready. I just have to like get on my armor. Like I'm almost there. I'm coming.
yeah.
It's like, oh, like, stop bothering me. Like, oh.
Yeah,
Oh
he's
man.
such a liar. And then he's like, I can run faster than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Seriously.
It's like,
Okay.
well, first of all, like you can't. Second of all,
He just like doesn't like grasp the gravity of the situation, basically. He like doesn't understand.
yeah. I mean, Pear's like, how old is Pear supposed to be?
I mean, maybe 30s, because the timeline's a bit iffy, but he was like an adult, and then like 10 years pass, and then he gets Helen. So,
Oh, I see. I see. He gives me like peaked in high school vibes.
absolutely. So, Hector, helmet flashing, answered nothing. And Helen spoke to him now, her soft voice welling up. Okay, we need a Helen.
My dear brother, dear to me. Wow, bitch that I am.
You know.
Explicit.
Wow.
Vicious, scheming, horror to freeze the heart. Oh, how I wish that first day my mother brought me into the light. Some black whirlwind had rushed me out to the mountains, or into the surf where the roaring breakers crash and drag, and the waves had swept me off before all this had happened. But since the gods ordained it all, these desperate years, I wish I had been the wife of a better man, someone alive to outrage the withering scorn of men. This one has no steadiness in his spirit, and now he never will. And he's going to reap the fruits of it, I swear. But come in, rest on this seat with me, dear brother. You are the one hit hardest by the fighting, Hector. You more than all, and all for me, whore that I am. And this blind, mad Paris, oh, the two of us, Zeus planted a killing doom within us both. So even for generations still unborn, we will live in song.
Yeah, so the thing with
Self-deprecating.
self-deprecating.
Kind of got like a lot of issues.
I was gonna say. It's like, oof.
She was right about the last part, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Like, it's gonna live on.
So
Brutal.
Helen is that at least she feels bad. Paris doesn't. Like, whether or not it's her fault, like whether or not she actually loved Paris or was kidnapped, she feels bad that it's all because of her. And yeah, so that's like kind of a positive on her side, that she actually is a little guilty. She wishes that she was the wife of a better man than Paris.
I mean,
So
fair.
why?
You married a clown.
Yeah. But she's right. Yeah, I mean, her story is still being told today, right now.
That's
Wow.
fact. That's facts.
Turning to go, his helmet flashing for the 8th time.
Yeah, what does that even mean? Just like it's glistening? Is it like an anime when it's like the glasses glisten?
It's like Hector.
It's actually it's foreshadowing for something in this chapter, but you'll see that when it happens.
Oh.
They want you to know that he's wearing a helmet.
You wanna die?
You'll see. Tall Hector
Good.
answered.
Tall Hector.
Don't don't ask me to sit beside you here, Helen. Love me as you do. You can't persuade me now. No time for rest. My heart races to help our Trojans. They long for me sorely wherever I'm gone, or whenever I'm gone. But rouse this fellow, won't you? And let him hurry himself along as well, so he can overtake me before I leave the city. For I must go home to see my people first, to visit my own dear wife and my baby son. Who knows if I will ever come back to them again, or the deathless gods will strike me down at last at the hands of Argive fighters.
Yeah, so good point, Hector. While Paris is like shining his armor, doing nothing, Hector is like, hey, I might never see my wife again, so I'm just gonna go say hi to her real quick.
Yes, plays cool.
To war, yeah.
You don't mind?
Yeah, just like 3 minutes, just 3 minutes.
A flash of his helmet,
Oh.
and off he
What
strode.
is a helmet?
His helmet, yeah. Did you know? Yeah.
No.
And quickly reached his sturdy, well-built house. But white-armed Andromache, that's his wife,
Andromache.
yeah, Hector could not find her in the halls. She and the boy, their son, and a servant, finely gowned, were standing watch on the tower, sobbing, grieving. When Hector saw no sign of his loyal wife inside, he went to the doorway, stopped, and asked the servants.
Please, tell me the truth now, women. Where is Andromache? Did I say that right?
I'll take that.
Andromache.
Andromache. Where is Andromache?
Andromache. Find me Andromache.
Where's Andromache gone? To my sister's house? To my brothers' wives with their long flowing robes? Or Athena's shrine where the noble Trojan women gather to win the great grim goddess over?
A busy, willing servant answered quickly. Someone can be this quick little servant.
There. Seeing you want to know the truth, she hasn't gone to your sisters, brothers' wives, or Athena's shrine where the noble Trojan women gather to win the great grim goddess over. Up to the huge gate tower of Troy she's gone because she heard our men are so hard-pressed. They're keen fighters coming on in so much force. She sped to the wall in panic, like a mad woman. The nurse went with her, carrying your child.
Yeah. So she heard that things were getting worse, and so she ran out with anxiety to watch her husband and try to find him, make sure he's okay. At that, Hector spun and rushed from his house, back by the same way down the wide, well-paved streets throughout the city until he reached the Scaean gates. The last point he would pass to gain the field of battle. There, his warm, generous wife came running up to meet him, Andromache, the daughter of gallant-hearted Eton, who had lived below Mount Pleius, rich with timber, in Thebe below the peaks, and ruled Cilicia's people. His daughter had married Hector, helmed in bronze. She joined him now, and following in her steps, the servant holding the boy against her breast. In the first flush of life, only a baby, Hector's son, the darling of his eyes, and radiant as a star. He loves his little boy.
Oh, wait, can I ask something?
Yeah.
Is the reason why they are so hard pressed in this helmet the same thing that you were talking about in Shakespeare, where the common man just misses these kind of tidbits, so they have to keep mentioning it?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Okay, because it feels like every time he's mentioned, it's like helmet and bronze.
So it's one of his epithets. So Zeus has a lot of titles, like Zeus, king of the gods, Zeus, the god of thunder, Zeus, whose shield is wrapped in thunder, whatever. So
Hector, who has a bronze helmet.
Yeah, one of Hector's is Hector helmed in bronze. Or like Hector, breaker of horses is another one. So
that one's sick. Just helmet in bronze is like Hector wears a t-shirt.
I'm gonna always
Hector
do
wears
that
a t-shirt.
for you, Murat. I'm gonna say Murat wearing a t-shirt.
Murat, the man with shoes. Not so catchy as the other one.
Murat, shoe wearer.
Shoe wearer.
I want t-shirts that say Hector wears t-shirts too.
Yo, that's kind of fresh.
we'll make some merch.
Can we make merch? We'll buy the merch.
We buy the merch and that's it. We wear
It's our merch.
Huh, why aren't we making any money?
We're making any money. Our sales are off the roof. Why are we not making any money?
And Colin just became our business person.
Yes, Colin, you're in charge. We delegated you.
Great. Good stuff. I
Yes.
know a lot about business, I think. Maybe, no.
Yes.
Probably
You
not.
understand merch, Colin.
merch.
Supply and demand, baby.
Okay, so Hector
Sorry.
Hector would always call the boy Scamandrius. The townsmen called him Astyanax, Lord of
What beautiful pet names.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, Diana.
Imagine calling a baby a Styanax, Lord of the City.
Oh my god.
Oh,
It
isn't
sounds
it
like
little
Norse
Styanax, Lord of the City?
I mean, imagine
Good.
putting on a baby and calling it Scamandrius.
Jeez. My dear Scamandries.
Oh, poor kid. It's all right. He doesn't make it.
Spoiler!
It's alright, he dies. He doesn't have to live with this name.
Are you telling me this book doesn't just introduce babies to murder them?
What?
The only baby? It's a little murder MacGuffin to make Hector angry.
Exactly. So how do you make him angry? Right, introduce a baby, kill him.
He makes it through this book. Don't worry.
Oh, wow.
Hector.
All right, I'm glad we have a Styanax still.
Exactly.
My little Styanax.
Lord of the city, since Hector was the lone defense of Troy. The great man of war breaking into a broad smile, his gaze fixed on his son in silence. Love my boy. Andromache, pressing close behind him and weeping freely now, clung to his hand, urged him, called him. Okay, we need an Andromache.
Reckless one, my Hector, your own fiery courage will destroy you. Have you no pity for him, our helpless son, or me and the destiny that weighs me down, your widow now so soon? Yes, soon they will kill you off, all the Achaean forces massed for assault, and then, bereft of you, better for me to sink beneath the earth. What other warmth, what comforts left for me, once you have met your doom? Nothing but torment. I have lost my father, mother's gone as well. Father, the brilliant Achilles laid him low when he stormed Cilicia's city filled with people, Thebe and her towering gates. He killed Echion, not that he stripped his gear, he'd had some respect at least, for he burned his corpse in all his blazoned bronze, then heaped a grave mound high above the ashes, and nymphs of the mountain planted elms around it, daughters of Zeus, whose shield is storm and thunder. And the 7 brothers I had within our halls, all in the same day went down to the house of death. The great godlike runner Achilles butchered them all, tending their shambling oxen, shining flocks. And mother, who ruled under the timberline of woody Placos once, he no sooner held her there with his other plunder than he took a priceless ransom, set her free, and home she went to her father's royal halls, where Artemis, showering arrows, shot her down. You, Hector, you are my father now, my noble mother and brother too, and you are my husband, young and warm and strong. Pity me, please. Take your stand on the rampart here before you orphan your son and make your wife a widow. Draw your armies up where the wild fig tree stands. There, where the city lies most open to assault, the walls lower, easily overrun. 3 times they have tried that point, hoping to storm Troy. Their best fighters led by the great and little Ajax, famed Idomeneus, Atreus' son, valiant Diomedes. Perhaps a skilled prophet revealed the spot, or their own fury whips them on to attack.
Yeah,
Oh.
so, I mean, Achilles killed her entire family, which is nuts, but he did, one by one.
What a great guy.
What a great guy.
Our hero, everybody.
Yeah, he's a perfectionist.
Yeah. So, Hector, you're my father, my mother, my brother too. You are my husband. Like, you're all I have left, and I know you're gonna die soon. It's heartbreaking, really. Poor Andromache.
That's fair.
Yeah. This is kind of like the the women's side of the war chapter, you get to see like what they're up to and how sad they must all be, because I mean they can hear the battle and they must be worrying all day, like, was that my husband, was that my brother, was that my son? It's sad. So you kind of get that at this moment. And tall Hector nodded, his helmet flashing.
All this weighs on my mind too, dear woman. But I would die of shame to face the men of Troy and the Trojan women trailing their long robes if I would shrink from battle now, a coward. Nor does the spirit urge me on that way. I've learned it all too well, to stand up bravely, always to fight in the front ranks of Trojan soldiers, winning my father great glory, glory for myself, for in my heart and soul I also know this well. The day will come when sacred Troy must die. Priam must die and all his people with him. Priam who hurls the strong ash spear. Even so, it is less the pain of the Trojans still to come that weighs me down, not even of Hecuba herself or King Priam, or the thought that my own brothers in all their numbers, all their gallant courage, may tumble in the dust, crushed by enemies. That is nothing, nothing beside your agony when some brazen Argive hails you off in tears, wrenching away your day of light and freedom. Then far off in the land of Argos you must live, laboring at a loom at another woman's beck and call, fetching water at some spring, Messias or Hyperia, resisting it all the way, the rough yoke of necessity at your neck. And a man may say, who sees you streaming tears, there is the wife of Hector, the bravest fighter they could field, those stallion-breaking Trojans, long ago when the men fought for Troy. So he will say, and the fresh grief will swell your heart once more, widowed, robbed, robbed of the one man strong enough to fight off your day of slavery. No, no. Let the earth come piling over my dead body before I hear your cries. I hear you dragged away. Oh my God, that's so sad.
This is harsh.
Yeah. I mean, she is, and this speaks to her character, she's most worried about him dying because she loves him. And he's most worried, not about himself dying, but about her then getting dragged off to slavery, which is what would happen to her if they stormed Troy. Now, this is actually a gentle version of slavery. Odds are she would be raped and pillaged and become one of the war wives long before she becomes a water slave to bring water to her mistress. She's not got a bright future ahead of her if Hector dies, which he might.
You find out next episode.
So this is a very deep moment, and this couple is going through a lot right now, obviously. They're both kind of like in tears and emotional, and then there's a bit of a change in the emotions. In the same breath, shining Hector reached down for his son, but the boy recoiled, cringing against his nurse's full breast, screaming out at the sight of his father, terrified by the flashing bronze, the horsehair crest helmet. The great ridge of the helmet nodding, bristling terror so it struck his eyes. And his loving father laughed. His mother laughed as well. And glorious Hector, quickly lifting the helmet from his head, set it down on the ground, fiery in the sunlight. And raising his son, he kissed him, tossed him in his arms, lifting a prayer to Zeus and the other deathless gods.
Zeus, all you immortals, grant this boy, my son, may be like me, first in glory among the Trojans, strong and brave like me, and rule all Troy in power, and one day let them say, he is a better man than his father. When he comes home from battle bearing the bloody gear of the mortal enemy he has killed in war, a joy to his mother's heart.
Yeah, so the baby gets a little frightened by the helmet because it looks weird and it's covered in blood. And they're like, oh, what a silly baby. And they kind of make him laugh.
Silly baby.
So he lightens the mood a little bit. And anyway.
Oh, that's actually sweet. I like this.
So Hector prayed and placed his son in the arms of his loving wife Andromache. She pressed the child to her scented breast, smiling through her tears. Her husband noticed, and, filled with pity now, Hector stroked her gently, trying to reassure her, repeating her name.
Andromache, dear one, why so desperate? Why so much grief for me? No man will hurl me down to death against my fate. And fate? No one alive has ever escaped it. Neither brave man nor coward, I tell you. It's born with us the day we are born. So please go home and tend to your own tasks, the distaff and the loom, and keep the women working hard as well. As for the fighting men, we'll see to that. All who were born in Troy, but I most of all.
Yeah. So he's trying to tell her not to worry. Obviously, she's going to worry. Her life is over if he dies. Like, it's just true. But he tried his best to calm her down. Hector, a flash in arms, took up his horsehair-crusted helmet once again, and his loving wife went home, turning, glancing back again and again, in weeping, live, warm tears. She quickly reached the sturdy house of Hector, man-killing Hector, and found her women gathered there inside, and stirred them all to a high pitch of mourning. So in his house they raised the dirges for the dead, for Hector, still alive. His people were so convinced that never again would he come home from battle, never escape the Argives' rage and bloody hands. Nor did Paris linger long in his vaulted halls. Soon as he buckled on his elegant gleaming bronze, he rushed through Troy, sure in his racing stride, as a stallion full-fed at the manger, stalled too long, breaking free of his tether, gallops down the plain, out for his favorite plunge in a river's cool currents, thundering in his pride, his head flung back, his mane streaming over his shoulders, sure and sleek in his glory, knees racing him on to the fields and stallion haunts he loves. So down from Pergamus heights came Paris, son of Priam, glittering in his armor like the sun astride the skies, exultant, laughing loud, his fast feet sped him on. Quickly he overtake his brother, noble Hector, still lingering, slow to turn from the spot where he had just confided in his wife. So Hector isn't running back to battle. He's like walking slowly, thinking about his wife, sad. And Paris comes like bursting out of the palace, being like, "Oh, I'm so fast!"
Hello. Oh my god.
Again, he like
sucks.
doesn't get the magnitude of war. Hector knows he can die. Paris is just like, "Whoa, war!"
Oh, magnificent Paris.
Magnificent Paris spoke first.
Oh.
Dear brother, look at me holding you back in all your speed, dragging my feet, coming to you so late. You told me to be quick.
Oh my! You should just kill Paris right there and there. Just end this.
Yeah, dude.
Just.
It's such a good comparison. I mean, you see Hector and Andromache being so serious and sad, and then Paris being Paris.
I think it's my favorite scene so far.
Me too.
It's
By
so-
far.
Oh.
It's my favorite book so far.
Yeah.
The whole situation is so well done.
I know. This one's really well done. It's just like, so good. Anyway,
Maybe this wasn't in the movie.
Troy, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Enemy of the podcast.
The movie.
Should we watch that movie? Because
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, me.
100%.
Dude,
Yeah, that'll be a capstone project.
We'll see.
Dude, Brad Pitt's banging in that one.
A flash of his helmet as Hector shot back.
Impossible, man. How could anyone fair and just underrate your work in battle? You're a good soldier, but you hang back of your own accord, refuse to fight? And that's why the heart inside me aches when I hear our Trojans heap contempt on you, the men who bear such struggles all for you. Come, now for attack. We'll set all this to rights someday. If Zeus will ever let us raise the wine bowl of freedom high in our halls, high to the gods of cloud and sky who live forever, once we drive these Argives geared for battle out of Troy.
Oh, that scene hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Paris to die.
Yo, honestly, that would be so lit. I wouldn't mind like fanfic where Paris just gets ruined. Walks.
I don't know if this is actually a thing, but I liked how the baby was I should say his real name, Astyanax.
Part of the city.
It's it seemed like, I don't know if it was intentional, but it seemed like he was afraid of war. It's almost like we're naturally not predisposed to war.
That's-
His father covered in blood and all this, and it's like...
I like
and
that.
his father's like, "You'll make him brave."
And it's the helmet that they make such a big deal out of. Like, as
Yeah.
soon as he Dad takes the helmet off. He's no longer like dad at war. He's just regular dad.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Oh.
Oh, look at that.
No longer dad at work.
I like
He's
regular.
not work. He's not work dad. He's play dad.
It's not work. It's cool, Dad.
It just so happens that work dad kills people.
Work Dad kills people. Cool,
I
Dad.
mean, don't we all?
Don't we all, man?
Wait, is that not what work is?
That's what work is. I spent 9 to 5 straight murder.
I'm
Slaughter
remembering work a little differently than you.
I mean, I'm just saying, if that's not what you're doing, you gotta work harder. I'm just saying. But yeah, we should definitely kill Paris. I'm thinking like apples.
What?
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 Yeah, I get it. It's like an apple.
Like
an apple
what
started it,
with
and then
apples?
you want him
Like
to
what?
like get an apple.
I'm just like thinking like, just like,
I like poison.
like tie him to a tree and just start flinging apples at him.
So you
Oh.
can discover gravity.
And you want that to
Oh.
be how he dies?
Isaac Newton style.
That is a lot of apples.
So many apples.
I want Menelaus to get him.
Like 7
Yeah, I think that's a
apples.
waste of apples.
That'd be nice.
Poor use of resources.
Yeah.
And that's why Marat is not our business person.
I'm not the business person.
You could just use the
Yeah.
same apple over and over again.
That's just like, that apple's like, you get like 3 throws per apple at best. I'm just saying, like, first throw, okay, you gotta get him. Second throw is kind of mush.
Make applesauce that way.
Sad. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have a bad business model. I have a plagiarized idea that I took from a TV show. Not good.
Like,
Murder. Comment.
Like and subscribe.
Like and
Apples.
subscribe.
Let us know how would you kill Paris? Wait, do not cut that. That cannot be out. Please cut what I just said. You have to cut it from the podcast. I will be in so much trouble. I can't mention.
Maybe we
my
should leave. Maybe we should leave in the part where you like cut that, and we can have people guess what you said.
Just cut the whole thing.
Just cut the book.
Cut the book. Honestly, just edit me out of this one. This book, you can just edit me completely out.
Comment below. What do you think Marat said?
Comment below. Get Murat fired. Do you want to deport Murat
The
once more?
closest guest gets a free t-shirt.
The fact that you're watching this will make you a t-shirt. I'll say I'm just happy you're watching. Thank you, whoever this person is.